Hey guys, it's Parker here from Test Prep Champions, and I'm getting ready to go to the gym, but I just wanted to get on here real quick and answer a question that I saw from Reddit. And it's a question off of Reddit, and I get something similar to this. I see these kinds of questions a lot, and so I'm not going to read the whole entire question, but it's from MJ Molly. I'm just going to read enough of it to give some context here. For other people who are watching, I think this is going to be really helpful video because a lot of people basically, they've got their GED, they left high school for whatever reason, and they want to get into a very prestigious school. They want to get into their dream school, but they're not sure how and they're not sure if they'll be able to given their situation. So that's kind of the question we're going to answer. So let me read part of it here. So you say 2 years ago, my sophomore year in high school, I should be a senior now, I got really sick. So first of all, sorry to hear about that. Okay, and you go on to say, due to this, I missed so much school. So much that I'd be looking at graduating at age 23 if I graduated through a high school diploma. I had no other option but to drop out. Okay, so it sounds like, yeah, so no judgment there. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, it sounds like you got really sick. What can you do at this point? You know, people have to leave high school for whatever reasons. You know, it happens. So you go on to say, okay, so it looks like you were a very good student in high school and you did very well. It looks like you took some AP classes. You did very well, performed ahead of your grade in certain classes, which is good. That's very good. But you're a little bit concerned that there's going to be a stigma against high school dropouts. There'll be some bias against you in the college admissions process. And you sound very ambitious. You say, my dream college is Berkeley. I would love to be a psychologist. Very cool. And then you say, should getting a GED change this? Does your passing score have any say in getting into college? Okay, so that's basically what your question is. And so first of all, no, don't let it change anything. You know, the main thing you want to think about is, do you want to go to Berkeley, which is the school that you stated, which is awesome. I'm assuming you're talking about UC Berkeley in California. Great school, fantastic. So no, don't let your GED or don't let your life situation stop you. If that's really what you want to do, you can find a way to make it work. You know, you really can. It's not going to be easy, but you know, hey, that's life. You know, because you don't want to get, you know, 20, 30 years from now. I'm getting a little bit ahead of us, but you don't want to come back, you know, 30 years from now and look back on your life and have any regrets. You know, so I say definitely go for it. And so really, there's two ways that I think you can go about it. And the first would be the kind of direct route, the apply to Berkeley, apply to some other schools. I know that's your dream school, but I would recommend what you do is just make a big list of schools that are your dream schools. You know, they don't necessarily have to be schools that you think you can get into. Don't worry if you can get into them. Just think, which schools do I want to go to? I would make a big list of them. You know, you could put Berkeley at the top because that's what you said your dream school is. But there's other fantastic schools out there too. So I would just make a list of schools, and you can make it like an Excel spreadsheet if you want, or just do it in your head, whatever's easiest. But I would make that list and schools that you could see yourself going to. And I would make some time and just hop on the phone with the Office of Admissions at each school and just ask them, just say, hey, you know, this is my situation. I had to leave high school. I didn't want to, but that's how it worked out for whatever reason. But I want to get my GED. I want to pass the GED test, and I want to get into your college. Is that possible? And so you're not going to know until you try, right? So inevitably, some of those schools, they might tell you that they don't take the GED or for whatever reason. But I guarantee if you make a big enough list of schools, maybe 15 to 20 schools or more, you're going to find some that will. There's plenty of colleges out there that will take the GED, and you want to ask them, what's the next step, you know? Because it might vary depending on institution. So you can ask them, do I need to take the SAT? Are there certain things that I need to do to get in here? So I would start with that. And then, like I said, inevitably some schools might tell you no, and you know, it's a drag, but you can cross them off your list and keep going because there's plenty out there that will. Okay, so you're not going to know unless you ask them, and you can search around on the internet and try to Google search things and try to go on their websites, and some colleges will have information about taking the GED or not on their websites, but I usually tell students just go and call the schools. You know, it doesn't take that long. It'll take you 2 minutes. Because you're not going to, the best way is to get it, or you can email them too. You can send emails to, or go on the schools that you're interested in, see if they have like a contact us box. You know, it won't take you that long. It's a little bit of a pain, but that's how you'll know. They'll get back to you fastest, so that way you don't have to just Google search and waste your time like trying to find all this information hidden on their websites when a lot of the time it might not be there, right? So I would ask the schools directly. So that's the first option. And then if they tell you, yes, we take the GED, okay, the next thing I want you to do is go take the GED, take all 5 sections, and I want you to just absolutely give it everything that you've got, right? So it sounds like you're a good student, and I think you said something about, you're not that concerned about studying because you feel like you could do really well right now, which is good. It sounds like you're on the right track. But what I would recommend, it's like driver's license. It's like if you want to get your insurance if you're driving a car. So if you have your driver's license, obviously you know how to drive, right? But you still get car insurance just in case something happens. So it's kind of like, you might already know how to pass all the sections and how to destroy all the sections right now, right? But don't be afraid to study at least a little bit and prepare, at least do a practice test or two to make sure you're on the right track. Even if you don't think you need it, I would say just as kind of like insurance, right? Just because, if you really want to impress the colleges, you want to make sure that you're going to get an outstanding score. And so there's different levels of scoring, right? I think if you just want to pass, you would need, like on the math section, which a lot of people, they struggle with the math section. Not everybody, but that tends to be the hardest section. So if you get 145 or above on the math section, you're done. But you can score a lot higher than that, right? So you want to go for really trying to get as close to 100% as you can on all the sections. Now, not a lot of people do that, right? But that if you want to go to a school like Berkeley, you think that you'll be able to do it. You just have to, don't be afraid to crack the books a little bit. So that's the first route, would just be to go direct to the schools, ask them what you have to do, then just slaughter the GED test, and then, figure out what's next, SAT, ACT, whatever they tell you to do, and get your college admissions together. All right, so that's first case scenario. Now, secondly, if that doesn't work out, the other route would be the community college route. Okay, and that's a great route. A lot of people do it that way, and you definitely can if you get into a community college, which you can because you don't need a GED, all right, depending, I guess, on the program at the school. I don't know the specifics offhand, but I mean, you can get into a community college. It's going to be cheaper. You're going to save a lot of money if you do it that way, and you can get your basic classes in college out of the way, so you can knock off a lot of basic classes at a cheaper price, so it's going to save you money. And, if you still put a lot of time into it and put a lot of effort in, you're going to get a lot back out. It doesn't matter what the school is. You're going to get in what you put out. So if you have to go that route, if you go to the community college route, that's not a bad thing because, like I said, you're going to save a lot of money in the long run. And if you do really well, you want to try to get all A's in your classes, okay? You try to get A's. That's really going to send a good impression to the colleges, because then if you spend a year or two at community college, perform very well, perform very strongly at a high level, okay? And, and try to impress some teachers, get good recommendations from the teachers. I think you wanted to go into psychology, so that's really cool. So you can start working on that right away. And then what you would do is, you've got really good grades from community college. You've got A's, you've got close to a 4.0 or a 4.0 if you can. Then reach out to the schools again and, or you don't even have to reach out. You can go ahead and apply as a full applicant. And I think that at that point, if you demonstrate that you're a really strong applicant from community college, you'll probably get in. You might not get into Berkeley, although you should certainly try because that's your dream school. Because it's really hard for anybody to get into a school that good, right? But, you never know, especially I know people from community college that have gone on to get into Johns Hopkins, which is another one of those really prestigious schools, very prestigious, excellent school. Okay, so I know people that have done that. I knew people that went from community college, got into 4-year schools. There's tons of stories out there, people that have gone on to really prestigious schools. Like I said, the person who went on to Johns Hopkins, I think that was actually that might be the most impressive person that I've seen. But, he started at community college, and I think his grades weren't even that good. I think he might have had some C's at first. He was doing something with biology or the sciences, so he had like some laboratory research experience, and I think that really helped him get in as well. But I knew a student who I did my undergrad, most of it anyway, at Pitt in the University of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. Not Berkeley, but it's a good school. And so she started at community college, got in there. A lot of students do it, so don't be afraid to go that route. But like I said, your first thing I would do is I would just call Berkeley, call the other schools, just get on the phone with their Office of Admissions, or just email them too if you're more comfortable doing that. That's fine. That might even be better because then, if you forget what they told you for whatever reason, you can just go back and then you'll have it in writing in your email. It's always going to be there, right? So if you just hear it on the phone, maybe, a couple months later, you might forget all the details unless you write them down, I guess. But I would do that. Just go the direct route first. Just call the schools, reach out to them, ask them, just tell them a little bit about your situation. Ask them if you can still get in there with the GED. and see what they tell you. And if not, okay, or if, Berkeley doesn't, if it's not going to work with the schools that you want to get into, then don't be afraid to go the community college route, or you can do online classes, but do some kind of program that's going to really demonstrate that you can handle the academic rigor of going to a school like Berkeley, okay, which I think if you went into the community college route, did really well, okay. And I know you're probably a little bit dissuaded from going that route because you don't want to spend a year or two in community college, or you can go right into a 4-year degree. Okay, and so some people can do that. So that's why I would investigate that route a little bit first, just so that you can save that time. But if that's not the best way to go about it, if that turns out not to be the best way, if the schools that you're interested in won't take the GED, you'll have to go the community college route. And like I said, you're actually, in the long run of life, you're probably going to be better off because you'll have saved all that money from tuition from your basic classes, and most of those hopefully will be able to transfer over to a 4-year school. So I wouldn't worry about it. Like I said, I wanted to touch on one last thing here, really. It's really up to you. It's your life here. I know it hurts sometimes, things that people say, and when it's really none of their business, though. I know it can be painful, and it's easy for me to sit here and just tell you, oh, block them out. Who cares? Don't listen to them. It's easy for me to say that when I'm not you, and I don't know what it's like. But I'm sure you must feel some kind of pressure. Maybe a little bit of embarrassment, or maybe a little bit of maybe a little bit of anger or frustration from, people telling you that because you dropped out, you'll never be able to do this or you'll never be able to do that. But hey, you know what? Like I said, it's your life, Don't be afraid to just block it out. Just say, you know what, that's your opinion, just kind of put a positive spin on it, look at it like, you know what? Hey, that's just their opinion, nobody knows what you're capable of doing, okay? I say this, because I know people that have done amazing things. I've known students I've had students that were diagnosed with learning disabilities, and people said they couldn't do math. And, once I worked with a student, and he supposedly had learning disabilities in math, and I was still able to get him he really did it. I was just there, and I helped him. I tutored him and mentored him, but he did the work, and he was able to learn math fine. Actually, I thought that he picked a lot of this stuff up faster than some of my other students at that point. There have been, there's stories. There was, I think, a 97-year-old woman in a nursing home or an elderly care home who passed the GED test after she was out of high school for who knows how many years, right? But the point is here, people do amazing things. I myself, I started out at a college, a little college in Pennsylvania, nothing special, nothing to brag about. I think the acceptance rate was like, I don't know, 80, 90%. Like, most people get in there regardless of what your grades are, as long as you want to be there and you'll pay, one of those kind of schools. Then I transferred to Pitt, where I did my undergrad, a better school, because I did well my first 2 years of college. And so then I was able, after I went through my undergrad, I was able to get into, as a post-bac student, I was able to actually get into my dream school. So I'm just telling you that, it's possible, okay? Just set your goals really high, because you never know. There's always some kind of route. There's always, if there's a will, there's a way. Just, don't worry about if you can do it or not. Just worry about, how am I going to make this work? And hey, there's no guarantees in life. So maybe you will, maybe you won't. But, just sitting around, worrying about what's going to happen if you don't get in, or worrying about if you can or if you can't do it, I don't think that's really the best way to go about it. I think the best way is what you're doing is just be very positive, optimistic about it. And, just check it out. Just do the best you can. So as far as, I think you asked about if you do really well on your GED, is that going to be impressive to colleges? Will that help you out? And the answer is yes, absolutely. Okay, if you score highly enough, you can actually get GED ready college credit scores. Some schools will accept that. If you score highly enough on the sections, you can actually get college credit for it. So I would really I would drill down on your GED studying, even though I said, you said that you feel pretty good, like you might not need to study that much, and that's cool, that's a good attitude. You might not need to, but like I said, just as kind of like insurance, so to speak, I wouldn't be afraid to, do a little bit of studying at least. Just make sure that, you're going to be good to go, because, something like this that's that important, you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to have to go in there and get like, you want to go in there and you want to get awesome scores on your first try if possible, because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So just to wrap things up here, anything's possible. Don't worry so much about what people think. I know it's hard sometimes, but really, like, who cares? I mean, in the long run, it might hurt now, but, hey, it's just their opinion. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're not trying to do something that you're trying to do with your life, okay? They're not. And that's why they're probably saying stuff or, making you feel bad because, who knows why? I mean, there could be a ton of reasons, but I wouldn't let it get to you, okay? Really, honestly, because like I said, I've seen students who have started a community college, gone into Johns Hopkins. I really mean that. Like, I'm not just making that up. That has happened before. People do incredible things. So the best thing that you can do to start is, first keep a positive mindset, which it sounds like you are. Don't worry about what people are saying. Just seriously, like, who cares, right? I mean, and make a list of schools and call their office of admissions or talk to them, see what they suggest for you to do, and then also if you're not getting a good response from the schools, then don't be afraid to look into the community college route as well. Like I said, that might be kind of a drag. You might think that's kind of a drag to spend a couple years in community college, right? But if you do really well there, if you get straight A's and you do amazing, you impress some professors, maybe you get involved in some psychology work or some psychology research, something that's going on like that, okay, that might actually look really, really good for you, look really impressive. And then another part of these college applications is the statement, your personal statement, and you might even need to be interviewing, depending on where you go to school. If it's Berkeley, I don't know how they do things there, but so you want to be able to tell a good story. You want to be able to tell a story that's going to resonate with people on an emotional level, and yours already is. I mean, you've got a good story here. You had to leave high school you didn't want to, you had your own reasons for health reasons, and now you're trying to, you just feel like, hey, you know what, I'm smarter, I'm better than this situation. This bad thing happened to me. I had to leave high school, but hey, look, my potential I've never hit yet. I feel like I have the potential to be doing so much more than what I've had to do because of my situation that I can't help. And so, if you have a really good story in your admissions essays, that's going to help as well because it is a good story. And, I think that it's your story and, you should own it 100% and just go ahead now and just try to make something happen. Really, like I said, don't be afraid to get out there and knock on some doors and ask them what you have to do. And, if it takes you a couple years to get into the school that you want to get into, it takes you a couple years, but you don't know until you try. So let me just make sure I kind of hit all the points here on your question. So, looks like we did. You said, okay, let's see. Does a higher score make acceptance more likely? Yes, it does. Definitely does. In fact, like I said, that really will help you out. And so the only way to find out if schools are going to have bias or not towards the GED test taker is to you're going to have to call them and ask them. Some might, some might not, but you can't control that, right? What you can control is what you do in your life. So definitely don't be afraid to take control. Control everything that you can, and just have faith that there's something out there for you, that there's an awesome school out there for you that you're going to be happy at, whether it's Berkeley or another fantastic school. Just have faith in yourself that you can do it, and I'm sure that you will. So I just kind of rambled on here a little bit. So hopefully from all this, though, hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this was helpful for you. But it sounds like you're on the right track. You're asking the right questions. So just don't be afraid to go for your dream. All right, so this is Parker from Test Prep Champions, and I wish you the best of luck.